began with modestly lit video footage of an empty bed, a pair of guitars leaning against the mattress, and it is yet to end. Anthony Solari enters the frame alone, clutching his six-string, singing as if his heart's in a vice. Little did Solari know that at the time of that off-the-cuff clip, shot with a single camera, would catalyze his first big break into the music business. It's easy to have a dream, but it's even easier to lose one. The inevitable hardships that come along with the goals are just waiting on the sidelines, ready to do anything they can to strip those dreams from us. How many of us can say that we fought and gave it all we had to achieve those dreams? I know someone who has. Me. I can still picture myself there, with a broken family fresh from divorce. I can remember feeling ashamed. Not only had my father forsaken his children, but being the sole breadwinner, he deprived us of basic necessities too. My mother was left to try and juggle our collapsing life while dealing with all too recent heartbreak herself. The utilities were the first to go. I can still feel the sharp sting of frozen water during my morning shower, and let me tell you, nothing wakes you up for school in the morning like having to endure one. It wasn't as bad as the electricity though, and with the lights gone, there was no juice for the air conditioning, so it died too. It was the beginning of summer in southern Arizona and not the time to lose cooling. Luckily for me, it was my senior year of high school, and within a few months, I wouldn't have to pretend anymore like my world was okay during class. But I knew what I had to look forward to after school at home, and somehow I convinced myself too that I deserved it. Because my soul wasn't functioning anymore, and I wanted the dark, hot loneliness to console it. My mom started selling off family things to keep us afloat, but we were never able to afford the rent once during that time. My part-time job paycheck never went towards fixing cars or parties or clothes, but food and rent contributions for my brother, my mother, and me. The landlords took pity on us, but they couldn't keep making up the difference themselves either. The blue Ford van was repossessed one day while I was walking home from school, and soon after we were served a 30-day eviction notice courtesy of a local sheriff in blue. And numbness was a distinct memory of that year for me. In the midst of graduating, I was also frantically moving to the opposite side of the highway, to a single-wide, rose-colored manufactured home with a custom hand-built living quarters attached on the side of it. I'd lost my pride a long time before the move, and so I was just thankful at that point to have a place to lay my head down at night. But I found a way to make myself feel better a few months later. I was looking for direction in life, since I never spoke to my father, and my mother was in the state of that like a zombie for a long time. The normal resources for guidance were exhausted. One night, actually around 1 a.m. while I was working the graveyard shift at a local health club, inspiration from a television show led me to what would become my dream and a way out, to be a successful singer-songwriter, a musician. It felt like it would be the perfect way for me to express myself, and it automatically felt right, and so my mind was made up. The next day I found myself spending a tiny amount of money that I had to buy my first guitar. It was an Ibanez Spruce C20 series, and here it is right here. From that day, wherever I went, and I mean anywhere, that guitar was always in tow. I played so much that literally the tips of my fingers bled until they began to form calluses. I had no idea how to actually play, but having something, a dream to look forward to, was the motivation I needed to succeed. Somehow having the goal was my way out of the hell that I was in. My dream to be a successful songwriter was absolutely dear to me because it was also hope. Hope that had been cruelly torn away and forgotten for so long. Well, 2 years passed, and with all the playing and singing and writing I was doing, I decided to venture away. I was leaving. Not from home, because at that point in my life I didn't have a home. Music was my refuge from the elements, and music was leading me to Las Vegas to prove myself. I wanted to present myself as a musician. I wanted to live that life. The only problem was, I didn't know how. I'd heard there was a local spot off the beaten path that up-and-comers frequented, an open mic that had numerous bigwigs present to prune and pluck the next big things. I thought all I had to do was show up and it was a done deal. There was one problem though. I was absolutely beside myself with fear. It's one thing to sing and play in your bedroom, and it's a whole nother dimension to play for strangers. So I decided not to go. I let fear and doubt settle inside my stomach and churn itself slowly into a terrible monster. Who was I to believe I could do this? I was a 20-year-old from a broken world who had zero support. This was crazy, and so was I. I was lost again. But you know what? Help would come, and it was in the most unlikely place, from my father. Out of obscurity, the one person who had caused the worst period of my life was at my doorstep asking for forgiveness. My feelings were more complicated than advanced aerodynamic software, and that's the truth. But I did a thing that I'm still proud of today. I forgave my father. I suppose in doing so I was trying to bury all the hurt and put it to rest once and for all. What became of forgiving him was a new relationship between us. It was a cautious one, but a relationship nonetheless. My father asked me that night to play something for him. He had heard somewhere along the lines that I was trying to become a musician and was interested in what I could do. So I played a song for him, a slow and pulsing one that was riddled with enduring lyrics of hurt and confusion. It was like playing to a stranger, actually, because I had erased him from my mind for so long at that point. After playing, I was met with his astonished face. "I can't believe how good you are," he told me. But I wasn't going to get anywhere from someone from my family telling me that. I mean, for all I know, he could have just been sprouting praises for all the hurt and wrong that he'd done in the past. Either way, I was eager to have someone on my side, and that's exactly what I got. My father made it his mission to do whatever he could to get me wherever I wanted to go. His opinion, time, and support, everything I had gone without, was suddenly poured out to me. With it, I felt revitalized and wanted my dream more than ever. I had the support I needed to move it just a little bit closer into reality at that point. I'd never been so tangled with nerves prior to the first time I decided to go play in front of people. My big opportunity was here. This was it. As I walked onto the stage, I could feel the eyes of the patrons sizing me up. People started to shuffle and readjust themselves to face this stage, and all I could think about was all the sweat that was beginning to multiply all over my face. I was introduced. "Here's Anthony Solar. He gets 3 songs or 9 minutes, whichever comes quicker." Well, soon it was over. In fact, I don't remember which songs I sing, but almost as soon as my set was done, I had people coming over to me asking for CDs.